Welcome at a boring history for sleep. Like, comments, and subscribe.
The sleepy whispers of the past. Close your eyes. Take a deep, slow breath in, and let it all out. Imagine, for just a moment, that you are standing alone in the dead of night, deep within the ancient forests of central France. The canopy above blocks out the stars, casting long, velvety shadows across the damp, mossy earth. There are no cars here. No glowing screens. No sirens. Just the rhythmic, eternal rustle of oak leaves whispering secrets to the midnight wind. We often think of France as a dazzling flash of neon light in Paris, the roaring engines of the Tour de France, or the sharp, dramatic clashes of revolution. But beneath all that noise lies a vast, sleeping ocean of quiet, forgotten time. Centuries of quiet footsteps, flickering candlelight, and slow, unchanging rural life. Tonight, we are going to slip past the grand gates of history and wander down the quietest, most peaceful cobblestone backroads of France. We aren't here for the battles or the bloodshed. We are here for the hum of the spinning wheel, the gentle chime of a monastery clock tower echoing across a misty valley, and the slow, rhythmic breathing of a nation drifting through the centuries. So adjust your pillow. Let your shoulders sink heavy into the mattress. And let us drift back to a quieter France. The endless green and the muddy tracks. To understand the sleep of France, we must first understand its earth. Long before stone cathedrals pierced the clouds or kings wore crowns of gold, France was simply a massive, breathing quilt of dense forests, wide rolling river valleys, and endless, untamed fields. Picture the landscape around the year 1000. It is a world painted in muted greens, deep browns, and the pale gray of morning mist rising off the Loire River. There are no highways. There are only narrow, winding dirt tracks worn deep into the soil by the bare feet of pilgrims, the hooves of weary oxen, and the heavy wooden wheels of farmer carts. Life here moved at the exact speed of the seasons. When the sun dipped below the horizon, the world outside your window didn't just get dark, it vanished. The only light came from the sputtering flame of a tallow candle or the dying embers of a hearth fire. Imagine sitting inside a small, timber framed cottage with a thatched roof. Outside, the autumn rain is tapping a soft, hypnotic rhythm against the mud walls. Inside, the air smells faintly of wood smoke, dried sage, and warm baking bread. There is no ticking clock to rush you. There is no schedule to keep. Time was measured simply by the chores: milking the cow at dawn, turning the hay at noon, and listening to the evening crickets as the sky turned the color of bruised plums. In these quiet, isolated villages, generations lived and died without ever traveling more than 10 miles from the place they were born. Their universe was small, safe, and profoundly sleepy. The biggest event of the week might be the gentle tolling of the village church bell, calling the weary laborers to rest. Clang, clang, each sound echoing softly across the dew-kissed fields, melting away into the silence. The monasteries of silence. As you drift deeper into relaxation, let us walk away from the muddy village tracks and follow the winding river toward a place of absolute, unbroken peace, a medieval Cistercian monastery. Tucked away in the hidden valleys of Burgundy and Provence, these stone sanctuaries were built for one primary purpose: quiet devotion. The monks who lived here followed strict rules of silence. For hours on end, the only sounds within these massive stone walls were the shuffling of leather sandals on cold flagstones, the turning of parchment pages in the scriptorium, and the low, resonant hum of Gregorian chant rising toward the vaulted stone ceilings. Imagine stepping into the monastery library just as twilight begins to wash through the high, arched stained glass windows. The colors inside are soft, deep indigos, faded crimsons, and dusty golds. A solitary monk sits at a wooden desk, his quill scratching softly against sheepskin parchment. Scritch, scritch, scritch. He is copying a manuscript by hand, working slowly, methodically, with endless patience. There is no rush. Tomorrow brings the exact same peaceful routine. Outside the monastery walls, the herb gardens stretch out in neat, symmetrical rows. Lavender, rosemary, and chamomile release their calming scents into the evening air. The bees have stopped buzzing for the day. The shadows stretch long and lazy across the stone courtyards. Sit for a moment on a worn stone bench in the cloister garden. Listen to the gentle trickle of water from a central stone fountain, a steady, hypnotic drip drop that measures out the quiet moments of eternity. The world outside is chaotic, full of wars and political struggles, but inside these walls, time stands still. It is an ocean of absolute tranquility. You are safe here, enclosed by stone, wrapped in quiet, and lulled by the gentle rhythm of the past. The candlelit halls of the sleeping chateau. Now, let us travel forward in time, but keep our footsteps whisper soft. We find ourselves drifting into the Loire Valley during the Renaissance. But forget the grand, bustling court scenes you see in paintings. Let us visit these magnificent chateaux long after the nobles have gone to bed. It is midnight at the Chateau de Chambord. The massive, towering stone castle rises like a pale, ghostly dream against a backdrop of dark pines and a silver moon. Inside, the grand spiral staircases are completely empty. The thousands of wax candles that lit the evening festivities have burned down to smoking wicks, leaving the long corridors in a cool, velvety twilight. Walk softly down the tapestried hallways. The heavy wool wall hangings, depicting green forests, grazing deer, and mythical unicorns, muffle every sound you make. Your footsteps make no noise at all on the thick, woven rushes scattered across the stone floor. In the royal bedchambers, the air is thick with the scent of beeswax and dried lavender tucked into linen sheets. Massive four-poster beds, draped in heavy velvet curtains, stand like cozy little islands of warmth in vast, drafty stone rooms. A single attendant stirs the embers in the grand fireplace, sending a cascade of tiny, glowing orange sparks up the massive chimney. Crackle. Pop. Outside the tall glass windows, the French countryside sleeps under a blanket of heavy fog. The winding river reflects the pale moonlight like a ribbon of liquid mercury. There are no voices left in the halls, only the deep, rhythmic breathing of a sleeping court, resting silently beneath heavy timber beams that have held up the weight of centuries. Let your own breathing fall into sync with that ancient stillness. In and out. The day is over. The history is written. The castle is asleep. The quiet life of the provincial vineyards. As we continue our gentle journey through the sleeping history of France, let us leave the grand castles behind and drift southward into the rolling hills of Bordeaux and Burgundy. Imagine the sun dipping low below the horizon, painting the sky in soft shades of dusty rose, pale lavender, and slate blue. The day's labor in the vineyards is finally done. The wooden grape baskets have been stacked neatly by the stone barn walls. The heavy draft horses, tired and content, stand in their pastures, softly snorting as they chew on sweet-smelling dry hay. In these quiet, sun-drenched valleys, life has always been dictated by the slow, patient cycle of the vine. You cannot rush a grape. It requires the gentle warmth of the spring sun, the quiet nourishment of summer rain, and months of patient, silent waiting in cool, dark cellars. Step down with us now into one of these ancient underground cellars. The air is cool, damp, and smells pleasantly of wet limestone, damp oak, and rich, sleeping earth. Row upon row of wooden barrels stretch out into the dim shadows, resting peacefully on neat wooden cradles. Listen closely. In the absolute silence of the cellar, you can almost hear the wine breathing, maturing slowly, imperceptibly, year after year in the dark. A single iron lantern casts a warm, flickering golden glow against the vaulted brick ceiling. There is no rush here. No anxiety. Just the steady, reassuring passage of time, drop by drop, barrel by barrel, sleeping away the centuries beneath the French soil. Find a comfortable spot among the quiet barrels, close your eyes, and feel your limbs growing as heavy and relaxed as the earth itself. The mist covered streets of old Paris. Even the great city of Paris, usually so full of life, trade, and commotion, had its hours of deep, profound slumber. Let us travel back to a quiet night in 18th century Paris, long before the roar of automobiles and neon signs. It is 2 a.m. A thick, milky white fog rolls in off the Seine River, wrapping around the stone piers of the Pont Neuf like a soft woolen blanket. The oil lamps hung at the corners of the narrow, winding streets flicker dimly, casting long, wavering shadows against tall, timber framed houses that lean lazily toward one another overhead. Not a single carriage rattles across the cobblestones. The shops with their heavy wooden shutters are tightly closed and locked. The only sound is the gentle, rhythmic lapping of dark river water against the stone embankments, and the occasional, distant call of the night watchman walking his beat with a heavy lantern in hand. All is calm. All is well. His voice echoes softly down the empty alleyways, fading quickly into the damp night air. Imagine living in a small apartment high above one of these quiet streets. Inside, the hearth fire has burned down to a bed of warm, glowing embers. You are tucked beneath thick, heavy wool blankets and crisp linen sheets. Through the open window, the cool, fresh night air carries the faint, soothing scent of damp earth, wood smoke, and distant river water. You pull the blankets a little higher around your shoulders. The city is vast, ancient, and sleeping soundly all around you. You are completely safe, wrapped in the quiet embrace of history, the lullaby of the French countryside. As our journey through the quiet shadows of France comes to an end, let us return to the wide open countryside, where the night is at its most peaceful. Imagine a small stone farmhouse nestled in the quiet hills of Provence. The cicadas have finally stopped their daytime hum. The warm breeze of the late evening carries the sweet, sleepy fragrance of wild lavender and dry summer grass. A single window on the second floor glows with a soft, warm amber light from a bedside candle. Inside, a mother softly hums a quiet, centuries old French lullaby to a drowsy child. The words are gentle, meant not to be understood, but to be felt. A warm, rhythmic cadence of sound that mimics the beating of a heart. Dodo, l'enfant du, the little child will sleep soon. Outside, the stars are brilliant points of silver spread across a vast, velvet black sky. The Milky Way stretches like a quiet river of light from one horizon to the other. Down in the valley, a church bell strikes the hour. 1, 2, 3. Its deep, resonant bronze tone vibrating softly through the night air before dissolving entirely into the silence. The history of France is vast, filled with grand stories, towering monuments, and dramatic turns. But its truest soul lives here, in the quiet spaces between the events. In the rustling leaves of ancient oak forests, the gentle flow of hidden rivers, the slow ticking of grandfather clocks in empty hallways, and the deep, peaceful sleep of a nation resting beneath the stars. The candle is flickering down now. The room is growing darker, cooler, and more comforting. Your eyelids are heavy. Your breathing is slow and steady. Let go of the day. Let go of your thoughts. Drift away on the gentle winds of the French countryside. Sleep well, and good night.
Disclaimer: while the historical accounts detailed here are grounded in rigorous research, we have integrated AI generated imagery to provide a vivid window into the past. Please note that these visuals are intended as creative interpretation rather than precise historical documentation. Our primary objective is to offer an engaging, immersive educational journey through history.